begin this morning in Washington on the first full day of the Biden administration. Yesterday, the world watched as President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris took their respective oaths of office, and the theme of the inauguration was American unity. Here's a look at how the Biden administration worked to convey that message.
Davy Harris, solemnly swear.
So proudly we hail.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
This land was made for you and me.
There was always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Amazing grace. My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people.
That saved a wretch like me.
And together we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness. Thank you, America.
And here's a look at how some newspapers across the country and the world captured the transition of power. And our Caitlin Huey-Burns was in Washington for it all yesterday. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us this morning. What is the atmosphere like in Washington now that President Biden is in office?
Good morning, Emery. Well, typically after inaugurations, you see the city in a celebratory mode, but it has been a very different atmosphere given the security restrictions, of course. So you hadn't seen lots of people flooding in from across the country or around the world to witness yesterday's events. But there is a sense, because D.C. is a very democratic city, there is this sense of turning a new page and welcoming back someone who spent a lot of time here in Washington, not only as a senator for 30 years nearly, but also as the former vice president. When you look at the Trump administration, the former president didn't really involve himself in the city of Washington. Yes, he had a hotel here, of course, but he didn't really engage this city. This could be a different situation with Biden. And yesterday, when he walked into the White House for the first time as president, he remarked that it felt like he was coming home.
That's fascinating. Well, also felt like he was going to work, because pretty much right away he started signing executive actions and so on. He'll be doing that again today. He'll be signing executive orders as part of his strategy to combat the coronavirus. Do we have any details on that?
That's right, hitting the ground running. And we knew that addressing COVID-19 was going to be the top priority for this administration. He campaigned on it last week, unveiled a proposal to address various aspects of it, and also included a proposal $2 trillion worth of relief for COVID legislation. But he is trying to do things by executive order, and his team released a slate of orders that he will be signing today. One of them is to expand testing and through a testing board, expand access to a vaccine, make the vaccine more available. He may need to use the Defense Production Act to be able to do that in terms of supplies. There is a plan to try to reopen schools in the next 100 days. So he's directing his agencies to offer clear guidance for schools to help them reopen. He's also directing agencies to expand data collection. That's really important. And he's also establishing through executive order a health equity task force to address racial disparities when it comes to this pandemic.
So as we mentioned, he was also signing away yesterday. A number of the executive orders were aimed at undoing some of the work of former President Trump. What can you tell us about what he did yesterday?
That's right. About 17 executive actions yesterday that the now President Biden has signed. And you're right, a lot of them are trying to unravel the policies from the Trump administration. That was something that Biden campaigned on, something Democrats wanted to see. So a few ways that they're doing that. One, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. That had been a big promise for all the Democrats running for president, but especially Biden, given that that happened during his administration when he served with Obama. Rejoining the World Health Organization, also signing an executive order on that. Immigration is going to be a big priority as well for this administration. There were executive orders on that. He also issued a mask challenge for people to mask up for the next 100 days, but signed an executive order making it so that you have to wear a mask on federal property. That's also a big priority for this administration. And covering inauguration yesterday outside the White House, we were all given N95 masks. They've increased testing at the White House as well. And he's also issued executive orders to pause student loans and continue that moratorium on evictions, which of course has been critical given the unemployment crisis that we're facing.
Yeah, that'll definitely offer a lot of people the relief that they need. Yesterday, we got our first Biden White House press briefing from Jen Psaki, and she talked about bringing truth and transparency back to the briefing room. So what can we expect to see from the administration when it comes to press briefings? Because with the previous administration, they were few and far between, and often, you know, we actually didn't get a lot of information we could count on.
That's exactly right. Well, the biggest contrast that we'll see is that these briefings will be happening every day, Jen Psaki said. And they also are going to bring back briefings with health experts. Because remember, during the campaign, the now president, said that he wanted to involve the scientists more and more and rely more on science than the previous president did. So we will see these members of the task force potentially briefing members of the press. But a really interesting note from Biden's speech yesterday, there was a lot of focus, of course, on unity, a lot of focus on the COVID crisis, the economic crisis, our political divides. But there was a really important line that Biden said, which was that he said that we need to reject the culture. We need to reject a culture where facts themselves are manufactured. And there is another pandemic in this country, of course, of disinformation and misinformation that was perpetuated by the previous administration, especially around elections most recently. So there was this effort yesterday to get back to a basic set of shared facts. Now, Jen Psaki said that, look, we're not always going to see things similarly. You know, there may be areas of disagreement, of course, and the press obviously needs to hold this administration accountable, especially on things like vaccine distribution and COVID relief, especially. But kind of getting back to this idea that there has to be a shared set of facts and getting away from this disinformation age, I think was an important kind of message sent from the new president yesterday.
That sounds promising. Caitlin, thank you.
Thank you.